longboarding mom. Today I am turning this pumpkin puree into a pumpkin pie. I first have to make a pie crust. And I know I've made a pie crust for you guys before. I believe we did like a turkey pot pie or chicken pot pie or something. But it is basically the same crust that I make for that. So I'm going to show you guys how to make that again. It is, I believe this is going to be one pie. Sometimes my liquid ends up being too liquidy, and my old pie pans were smaller. So I've got deeper pie pans. They're like the 9-inch deep ones and stuff. So we'll probably get one pie out of this, but I'm going to make two crusts because it's usually easier for me to make two crusts. And then the other one, I've got that blueberry filling I made for my cheesecakes. I've got some extra, so I figured I'd make some little hand pies and throw them in my air fryer later, maybe, if I have time. If not, then I will make little, I could freeze it and make those pies later, or I could make little cinnamon and sugar little pie flaky thingies that you can eat. They're really good. It's like a churros or whatever those are called, kind of like that. So we are going to put this back in the refrigerator because I don't need it right now. I'm going to make the pie crust and put that in the refrigerator for a little bit to let it cool, because when you're handling the pie crust, it gets a little warm, the Crisco, and I'm going to add a little bit of butter to it, and it gets a little warm, so when you roll it out and stuff, it just doesn't roll as well as when you put it in the refrigerator and let everything kind of like come together. So we're going to get started on the pie crust and then make pumpkin pie. I love making pies from a real pumpkin. I know the canned stuff is a real pumpkin too, but this is my homemade puree, and I know what's in it. I need 2 cups of flour, but since I vacuum sealed some of my flour, it's compacted. So I have been sifting it. So this is my sifter. And I vacuum seal my powdered sugar as well. So when I make cakes and stuff, I have to sift that so it doesn't get all, it gets little itty bitty chunks in it and stuff, and so this just helps it get those out of there. So there's 1 cup. And I need 1 more cup, and then I'm going to sift a little bit because when I roll it out, I'm going to need a little bit of flour. This is the messiest part. Baking, I am such a messy person when I'm baking. I get flour everywhere, stuff everywhere. That is all the fun. One time I was wearing my black jacket. I have a couple black jackets that I wear to work and stuff, and I was wearing one, and I get to work and I'm like, what is all over my jacket? I had flour all over my jacket. Okay, there's 2, and I'm just going to do just a little bit more so when I roll out the crust, I have something that I can work with. If I don't use all of this flour, I'll just dump it back in the bag, because all I'm going to do is just sprinkle a little bit on my mat. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. I'm going to put my flour back here. And we're going to add salt. I'm going to add just a little bit of sugar. I don't usually add sugar to my crust when I'm making like savory ones, but sweet ones, we can add a little bit of sugar to it. I need 1 teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to add a teaspoon of sugar as well. So yesterday I made monkey butter. Oh my gosh. That's what's left of that little jar that I put in the refrigerator. I put some on pancakes I had pancakes for lunch. And it was my huckleberry pancakes that I got on date night. And I thought the huckleberries would be inside the batter, like little dehydrated ones or something, you know, like I don't know. I guess that's what I was thinking it was, but it was huckleberry syrup. And it was good, but it was so much better with the monkey butter on it. And then last night I had some monkey butter toast. I'm probably going to have some monkey butter toast for breakfast and finish the jar off. My husband said it was interesting, and I absolutely love it. So, okay, I put in 2 cups flour, 1 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar. And now I need to cut in 2/3 cup shortening along with 2 tablespoons. I've put just a little bit of butter in here. I need just a little bit more shortening to fill that up. That's going to be 1 of my 1/3 cups. And then we'll do, I got flour. I told you I got flour everywhere. So we're just going to add a little bit more to this to make this the 1/3 cup. I like a little bit of butter. One time I didn't have enough shortening, and so I added some butter to it, and my husband and I just absolutely loved the crust. It was so much flakier. It was better, but, you know, none of this is good for you. Okay, so that's a 1/3. We're going to do another 1/3 cup. I'm going to try to push it down in there and get all the air pockets out because it gets air in it. And I'm going to keep that right there because I'm going to use that to put my cold water in. I need 5. I usually put in the whole amount of water. And it's about 5 tablespoons of water. So I get the cold water and I just dump it in there. I'm hoping I have some in the refrigerator. Cold water works best, but if you don't have cold water, like I said, if you put this in the refrigerator for a good like half hour, or I mean, you can make this crust the night before, and it the longer it sits in the refrigerator, the better it'll taste. And you just pull it out for just a little bit, like maybe 5 minutes, let it rest outside. You don't want it to cool or warm up too much because it rolls a lot easier when it's cooler. And I'll show you when I start rolling it out. We'll see how good I roll it. Sometimes I can roll it out perfectly. Sometimes it breaks apart and I have to piece my crust together. And piecing it together, like when I put a crust on top, sometimes I just cut cookies, cutter stuff, and then place it on top because I can't roll it right and it won't pick up right or something. So I just cut little pieces out and put it on top of the pie crust, and it looks fancy. So I'm gonna keep that right there. And I got this recipe out of my Betty Crocker cookbook. You know, that's my go-to cookbook. I've got to find one for my son. He's, you know, getting to that age where he's talking about moving out. He's been saving a whole bunch of money. He works 2 jobs. 2 jobs equals his full-time. He works part-time at both his jobs. One job said they'll take him full-time if he'll quit his other job, but he likes working both his jobs. So I was watching somebody this morning about canning and stuff, and you know, I'm still learning. I just started canning, water bathing this year. My sister's been doing it for a few years and stuff, so she's got a little bit more knowledge and everything under her belt. But my husband's bosses, they have lived in this little town that I live in for years. They know all the history. They own the gas station where we live and stuff. I'll have to go in there and take video of the old photos they have. They're all the black and white photos that you take back in the old days and stuff when it flooded. We flooded here in 96 really bad everywhere in Oregon. And so they've got pictures of that. They've got pictures of the old covered bridge and stuff before we got the big bridge across the river, and just a beautiful old town and lots of history and stuff in it. There's a few landslides that took out people's homes, a whole half a town, and crazy, just crazy. All the stuff that you find out from the little town. But anyway, what I was getting to is that these women, their sisters, they told my husband that water bathing is one of the best things that you can do. It's way better than pressure canning. And don't, send hate mail to me, because this is what they told me. These women are older women, and I think in their 70s. And they've been doing it for a long time, and their whole family has been doing it for a long time. And they said that you can control water bathing better than you can control a pressure canner, and that you can do all kinds of stuff water bathing that they say you can't do, and yes, you can do it, and they've been doing it for years, and that they're so proud that me as a younger generation is starting to learn something, to learn this and everything, and I'm having so much fun doing it. Okay, so here they're like little pea size. Some of them are a little bit bigger. I'm gonna go grab some water and get. Oh, I'm gonna have to dirty up another spoon. That's okay. Anyway, get some water in there and we'll roll it around. I got that flour there so that I can keep my hands dry, because they're gonna get sticky. I'm gonna stick my hands in there. So I'll be back in just a moment. Make a little well and kind of start pouring in. Mix it around. I am not a pie pro, so I do not know exactly what I'm doing. I do dump it all in and just kind of mix it around. See, it's, to me, still kind of dry, which is kind of weird because it is a little wet outside. But like normally, like the moisture outside, humidity and stuff, you could add a little bit less water to this, but it's not that humid out there for raining and stuff. I'm just gonna add, I had probably another little tablespoon. I'm just gonna add just a little tiny bit more to the outside where it's wet, and then I'm going to stick my hands in that flour because get it all over my hands. I'm gonna scrape that off. See, it's already wet. But what I'm gonna do is start mixing this around with my hands and get it all incorporated. You don't want to over mix it though. That's what I'm always worried about, over mixing it, because you don't want to make it too tough. But you got to get that flour mixed in there, all of it. Still see a little wet, so it needs all that flour. And once you get it all mixed in, you can break it into 2 balls, and then I put it in a little bit of saran wrap and flatten it out and put it in the refrigerator. little balls. 2 little balls. And I'm going to go grab some saran wrap. Gotta get this off me. See, my mess on the counter is easy to clean up with my little scrapers. I'm just gonna push that over to the side so I can clean up some area, and then I can just clean it all up. But I want to get this in the refrigerator, so I always put a little bit down like so. Kind of flatten it out a little bit. We got one little patty. The other one's going to be a little bit bigger, and that's okay because I need to get that bottom pie crust the pan is this deep. It is a Pyrex 9 by 5 by 24 centimeters is what it says. So I need it big enough to wrap up around, and then I can make a cute little edge. Pumpkin pies don't have a crust on top, but sometimes I will cut out a little decoration and I'll bake it along the side, and when the pie is almost done, I set it on top of it and decorate it with like little leaves or, you know, cute little stuff. So I'm gonna go put these in the refrigerator. In about 30 minutes we will start making the yummy, delicious pumpkin pie filling. Ooh, I can't wait. Before I start rolling my pie crust out, I always take a foil and measure it. We're gonna go like this, fold it in half, and then fold it in half again. And then we're just gonna tear out, oh, this is really strong foil, there we go. Tear out the middle. And what this is gonna do is when I bake the crust, we're going to put this over the crust so that the top of the crust doesn't burn before the rest of the pie is done. You can buy something special to go over your pie pans, and I have not done that yet. Maybe one day. I just basically go like that with that. So I'm going to set this aside. We are going to grab that pie crust out of the refrigerator. It's only been about 15 minutes. I've got things I've got to do today, so I'm going to roll it out. We're going to bake this off first because you don't want your crust to be soggy because the pumpkin is really, really wet. So it's baked off not for very long. You just put it in the oven. And actually, I should have saved that before I tore it out because I always put the foil down first. And yeah, so I did this a little backwards, but that's okay. So I'm going to use a little bit more foil. And we're going to bake it off. But first we're going to roll it out. So that's my pie crust. It was in the refrigerator for about 15 minutes. You can see it still has some Crisco in there, but that'll work in. So what I'm going to do is now foil is stuck on my mind. That's so funny. Put some flour down. We are going to make a big mess out of it. So let's move that over. And my mat actually tells you 8 inches, 9 inches, or 10 inches. And let's see if we can do that. Look how it is rolling out very nicely. Okay, so once you get it a little rolled out, you want to make sure it's not going to crack. And you're going to put a little bit of flour on it. We can flip it over. You're not going to flip it over too many times though. Just probably that one time. Add a little bit more flour to it. And we're going to kind of roll it out. I'm going to smooth the edges a little bit. But see, I've almost got it to, and you want it even. You don't want one side thicker than the other. And don't push too hard because if you push too hard, then you're going to push it into the mat and make it stick. You just want to give it a little, nice little push. And you know what's funny is I love this little rolling pin. I've got one that's bigger and I never use it. I don't care too much though for these wooden ones because I don't know, I've had them, if you don't clean it well enough, it leaves stuff on it, on your pie crust. So yes, I'm going to admit sometimes I've had to pick out little things that I didn't know what it was. That is my oven preheated. I'm going to move that over just a little bit. Like, I've almost made it as big as I need it to go in. I'm actually making it bigger because you want it bigger than your pan so that when you put it over it, you just cut off a little bit. And I'll show you how I do that. So we're going to gently fold this over. I'm going to clear off this area. I don't like to get flour on the bottom of my pie pan. So I'm going to grab that, set that there, and you can fold it again. I'm not going to because too much folding, I might break it. And that 15 minutes in the refrigerator was perfect. See, that is the reason why I did it larger, because look, it barely even fits right now. I have to figure out where my sides are bigger and move it. I like butter in my crust. It seems to turn out a little bit better than just the shortening. Okay, so I'm going to take my little scraper I used earlier and just go around the crust like this. You can use a fork, a knife, whatever you want to get the excess off. I'm just getting, normally I have a lot of excess. I was gonna pull, I can roll that out and make a star. See, I pulled out a star to make a star to put on top of my pumpkin to show you guys what it looked like. I can get maybe one star out of that, huh? Look. I missed an edge. I'm funny. I'll make it. I'll make it work. Okay. Let's finish the pie. I got distracted with shinies. Okay, so finish the pie. So you can roll it. I like to roll mine and pinch it to make a little crust. You can take a fork and do a fork edge, but you can kind of roll it and make it a little, I don't know, once you're done, you go like this and whoops, make it a little fancy looking. And I'm going to make 2 videos because my pie video is probably going to be about 20-30 minutes. And then the crust video is going to be about 20-30 minutes. So we'll make 2 separate videos. That way you have a video to go to look for just a pie crust if that's all you want to make. And then you can make a pumpkin pie or make your chicken pot pies, turkey pot pies. I'm probably going to have to make a turkey pot pie once this is all done, because I have lots of turkey left over. Even though I'm inviting a friend over, that turkey's huge. My crusts are never too fancy. I just kind of make sure it's together. And then I'm going to take some foil And we're gonna cover this up. We're gonna bake it in the oven for, I forgot how long. In the oven for 10 minutes. So 10 minutes with the foil on it, and then 2 to 3 more minutes afterwards to kind of make it brown just a little bit before you put the pumpkin in it. So let's get this in the oven. And when that is in the oven, that's when I'm going to start making all the rest of the stuff. So, and actually I'm going to clean up first, and then we'll get everything else started. Okay, so my little flaky crust is way too flaky. Look at that. Anyway, be careful when you put your foil on there, because I did accidentally bend it down a little bit. So when I pour the pumpkin on it, it's not gonna lay flat. That's okay.